Heartbreaking is just one of the words being used to describe the condo collapse in Florida. Another 14 victims have been pulled from the rubble, bringing the death toll to 78 people. 47 of those killed have been identified. Dozens of others are still unaccounted for. It's been more than 2 weeks since the collapse, and officials say they do not believe they will find survivors. They do say search crews will continue searching quickly and thoroughly.
This recovery is moving forward with great urgency as we work 24 hours a day on the pile to recover victims and bring closure to all of the families still waiting. We want to bring them news as quickly as we possibly can.
Let's bring in Bill Sklar now. He's the chair of the Condominium Law and Policy Life Safety Task Force. Welcome, Bill. Thank you for joining us. You will be leading a group tasked with looking at and recommending changes to condominium laws. Can you explain what exactly you will all be looking for and the kinds of changes we can expect to see?
Good afternoon, Tanya. Good to be with you. First, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the families and all those affected. Our task force was impaneled just this week to examine condominium law and all other laws and regulations and policies affecting operation of condominium associations, affecting governance, affecting construction and development of condominiums, especially aging high-rise condominiums, to minimize or prevent this horrific tragedy from occurring again. We literally just concluded our organizational initial session not more than a half hour ago, almost a 2-hour session of the task force, identifying issues we are going to specifically look at and various laws. To be clear, this is a multitude of issues. It goes to life safety. It goes to what measures could have been done to protect and prevent a tragedy like this. We're not investigating this particular tragedy. We're not building officials or engineers. There are many investigations occurring to investigate this, but we're looking at what issues were presented by this. Our time frame is to do this within the next 90 days. Why? Our next legislative session in Florida convenes in January because of the midterm elections. Our legislative committee weeks start in late September. Our goal is to be able to present our recommendations, our findings, which will be fact and evidence-based, not based on emotion, to the governor and to the legislature. And we are going to invite expert participation. We are already reaching out and seeking reports on particular issues from building code officials, from engineers, from other officials who do what we call reserve studies as to the components of these structures. But it's more than that. It goes to, in this, for instance, one area is you've heard and reported that in Miami-Dade County, there's what's called a 40-year recertification for 40-year-old buildings. That only exists in 2 counties in Florida, Miami-Dade and Broward, which is essentially Fort Lauderdale and its surroundings. Why not a statewide standard? Why 40 years? Perhaps it should be 30 or 20 years or periodically. And then the question is, what happens with that report and where does it go? So that's just one example of the many issues and the time frame and the scope and breadth of the tasks which we have just embarked on reviewing in our quest to report.
That sounds like an expedient and efficient time frame. We wish you luck with that. I want to ask you about a situation which occurred next door. A developer offered the Champlain Tower South Condo Association $400,000 not to fight the construction of their new high-rise next door. Is that common practice, and how could something like that affect legislation going forward?
Well, I've only read reports. We're not looking at that particularly, but you raise there's a bigger question there. Not whether a developer offers money to whom to do something, but the effect of development on adjoining existing property, and whether that should be looked at and regulated, and whether that is taken into account by the local government. In that case, I believe it would have been the city of Miami Beach and the adjoining city of Surfside where the tragedy occurred. So the question becomes whether that would be something that would be, as a matter of course, reported on relative to the local government, and whether that should have been reported between local governments, Surfside and Miami Beach.
Bill Sklar, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you.